Hey y'all, what's up? It's Friday, so I'm gonna keep it black, but I'm gonna keep it brief. Voting is happening now. You can go vote now, today, ahora. Anyway, I've heard so many reasons not to vote. The lesser of two evils is still evil. Voting is a delusional establishment, a de facto detour to the de-escalation of the darker brother.
What?
Stop playing. We're not voting for most likely to get everything right. We're voting for most likely to not volunteer us to be killed by Corona, North Korea, or white supremacy. Plus, you have an obligation. Let me tell you something. Oprah Winfrey did not learn the preamble to the Constitution, learn the number of county judges in Alabama, or get slapped around by the fuzz so you could sit here and speculate on the irreconcilable incongruities of the prospect of votership in the United States. Sure didn't. That woman's name was Annie Lee Cooper. Voter suppression, lack of rights and or access to the polls has silenced the voices of people who are otherwise willing to exercise their right to vote. And this has been happening for over 150 years at this point. So if you, especially if you are black, have the right to vote, then you need to exercise it, because it is a right that African Americans have been fighting for blood, tooth, and nail. Actually, the 14th and 15th Amendment made it illegal to tell black people they couldn't vote. Sure, honey, but white folks love to find them a loophole or a clause, i.e. the grandfather clause of 1867. That clause stated that in the year 1867, if your grandmama and granddaddy couldn't vote, then you can't vote either. 1867, black person, my granddaddy and them, property, so they definitely couldn't vote. But you already knew that. And soon after that, you know, good old black codes and Jim Crow made it easy to enact voter suppression in an informal manner. Today is long lines with not enough time to get everybody. Today is too few or too faulty voting machines. But back then it was white men chilling outside a voting precinct with weapons. Back then it was qualifications that county clerks pulled out their backside every time you showed up to the precinct to fill out an application. Back then it was being threatened to lose your job because the county clerk knew who you were employed by. Back then it was literacy tests. Literacy tests that either gave black people much more difficult documents to read than white people, or literacy tests that didn't even have anything to do with literacy. And I post one in my story. Me, you, not even Bill Gates or Einstein could have passed them tests because they weren't even about reading. Because the intention and results were entirely subjective, designed not to make a lick of sense and to confuse the reader. Well, if it was subjective, then I'm pretty sure Bill Gates and Einstein, two rich white men, would have definitely passed that test. If there had to be a Voting Rights Act of 1965, only 2 years after my daddy was born, it wasn't that long ago, then voting might be something that, if anybody, black people should be taking seriously. And make no mistake, Martin Luther King Jr. had to shame Lyndon B. Johnson into signing that act. Black people were harassed for attempting to cast their votes. Black people were beaten for attempting to cast their votes. Black people were lynched for attempting to cast their votes. But it's the system. Quick American government lesson before you leave here today. Take them to school. The popular vote, that's you and me. And each state determines what the electoral college of that state will vote, Democrat or Republican. We need the states with the most electoral college votes to vote blue. Candidates need 270 out of 538 votes to win. States with the largest amounts of electoral college votes are California, Texas, New York, Florida, Illinois, and Pennsylvania. States we need to focus on flipping: Georgia, Florida, and North Carolina. Stop making excuses. You can vote early. You can vote by mail. You can vote on time. You can vote on a snail.